All right, we'll go ahead with the first question for Coach Candrea. Troy Hutchison, go ahead.
So, Coach, can you talk about Carly winning Pac-12 Freshman of the Week?
Yeah, it's exciting. She had a good weekend and very well-deserving honor. She showed really lots of consistency. The last couple of weeks, I've been really pleased with the way she's swinging the bat. So it's a nice honor for a freshman.
And then this upcoming week, you're going to Florida and you're playing 7 softball games in 7 days. Can you talk about the challenges of that?
Well, I don't know if we're playing 7 in 7 days, but
Danny, we can't hear it again.
yeah, no, I mean, it's going to be a good challenge for us. I think it's good for us right now to get away from Hillenbrand and get on the road and play in an environment that's a little different than us. A lot of humidity. Ball is not going to travel as well, so we're going to have to execute the game and playing some good teams. So I'm looking forward to it.
And then do you feel right now that you have 3 or 4 deep at pitching? I know Devin's been pitching and Hannah's been pitching. How do you feel they're coming along this season?
Good. I think it's we're at a point now we just have to play games, find out where we are each week. But I like the body of work that they've all done. And as long as we keep executing the game, I think that's what it comes down to at the end is being able to execute the game, getting some quality at bats, playing good defense, and getting some solid pitching performances. So that hasn't changed.
Sean Fagan, you're up next.
Thanks for being here, Coach. So I want to ask about that Oregon State game that went into extras. There was that call near the end where originally Arizona was called out, and then it would have been 2 outs with 1 runner on, but the call was overturned. If you wouldn't mind, could you explain what happened during that play and what led to your team actually getting the run?
Yeah, well, it's a very clear-cut rule. It was obstruction. The defensive player cannot stand in front of the base without the ball. And she was clearly camped in front of home plate, waiting for the ball to come in. And that is a typical obstruction call. And unfortunately, that's the way our game's played to avoid collisions and try to keep our players fairly healthy. And so it's a tough call because sometimes it's a bang play, but the key is that your defender has to stay inside the baseline until they're receiving the throw. Once they receive the throw, they can block. So it's prior to receiving the throw that they cannot be in the baseline, avoiding the path of the runner toward the base.
And then, Coach, I asked Charlize about this, and you had just mentioned as well, going to Florida, one of those exogenous factors is humidity. So how do you prepare your pitchers to throw in such a different environment where weather can have an effect on the ball, whereas in Arizona, mostly there's a lot of dry heat, so it's not exactly a factor?
Right.
And how do you prepare them with, especially at such an extended road trip in Florida?
Yeah, well, you can't really prepare them because we don't have humidity here to practice in. So that's one of the reasons why we're going there. There's going to be some other places hopefully down the road that the humidity becomes a factor, Oklahoma City being one, so it's I think going to be a really good learning environment for us. It's an obstacle that we're going to have to be able to overcome, and I think it's a well-planned trip to make sure that we're getting that ability to play in a different environment.
And then last quick question for you, Coach. So on your road trip on the Monday, the 8th, UCF is now ranked number 22. I believe it's going to be the first ranked opponent you'll play with the Texas Classic at the beginning being canceled. So as a coach, is there any other strategies you take, or is there anything else maybe you tell your team when they go in to play a nationally ranked team, or is it much of the same thing and the same strategy as if you were playing any other team?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of respecting every opponent you play, but don't fear any, and we're going to be playing a lot of ranked opponents throughout the year. So it's a great opportunity for us to go into their place and play a very good team. And so, like I said, it's going to come down to us executing our game. If we execute our game, then I think we'll have an opportunity to be successful.
Ryan Kellep here, go ahead.
Charlize has had a really good start at the plate. In what areas do you think she's improved the most?
I think consistency more than anything. Just she has a really good plan when she walks up. She sticks with her plan. She's swinging at strikes and taking balls, which sounds simple, but it's really not. And I think just maturity. We always talk about that motor, and usually freshmen, their motor runs almost off the track, where as you play the game, you learn how to control that. And I think she's definitely one that has some stability when she walks up to the plate, when she's playing the game. I have a lot of confidence in her behind the plate too. So it's awfully nice to have her and Deja. Both of them are very good offensively. So it's really a great asset for our team.
And what is kind of your plan with Deja and Charlize? Because obviously Deja is the top catcher, but Charlize is also playing well. And I know for the future, you want her to get as many reps as possible. So how do you kind of approach that?
Well, she's going to play a lot of games. My big thing with Deja is to keep her healthy and to keep her fresh. And if you, as a catcher, the first thing that's going to go is your legs. So it's a great opportunity for us to keep them both fresh by alternating them, or at least double headers, being able to use both. But I have a lot of confidence in both of them. Both have strong arms. Both are good receivers, and both are good offensively. So I always kind of look at it as a 1A and 1B.
And what do you kind of just think of Charlize's toughness? I mean, she's come back. She was in that collision last year. I know she had that broken finger. And what do you just think about her toughness behind the plate?
Well, she gets that from her dad. So, if you know Kiko, he's a tough one, and she's grown up, being pushed, not being pampered, and therefore that's what you get. You get a kid that's very used to that, and so it's not surprisingly that she bounces back very quickly from setbacks.
And how difficult do you think it is for a catcher being involved in every pitch to being a DP, where when your team's on the field, you're in the dugout?
Well, the DP is a very difficult position, because there's not everyone that can handle sitting in the dugout and then being prepared to get in the game action. I think a lot of times when you're in the game and you're especially as a catcher handling the ball all the time, a lot of times it does help. But there's certain people that do a good job handling that role, and some people that struggle with it. But I would say that so far she's done a good job.
Why do you think she's able to handle it so well?
I just think it could be a little bit of her makeup and her personality, her ability to stay in the game even when she's not in the game. She's not a very high and low kid. I mean, she's pretty consistent, and most DPs, you have to find someone like that. You can't have a kid that bounces off the walls and expect them to be able to be prepared, once every 3 innings. And so I think her personality has a lot to do with that.
And what do you think she can learn from Deja, not just from Deja's, experience as a player and being with the Olympic team, but also just from a skill perspective? I mean, Char was talking about learning from Deja and how quickly she transfers the ball.
Yeah, I think it's a great asset that we have, is to be able to have, in fact, I think our senior class has really done a good job of leading. And part of that is taking a young player and being able to share information and share knowledge. And a lot of times it may not be the physical part of the game, but it may be the preparation and the emotional part, and just being able to have someone to talk to that knows what you're going through is very valuable.
Eric Lopez, go ahead.
Coach Eric Lopez of In the Circle. Good to talk to you again. I'm curious, obviously, you go way back with Coach Erickson. You've played him before, so it makes sense he's on the schedule. And then Florida State came to your place a couple of years ago. But talk about that UCF game and how that came about. And if you know Coach Cindy Ball Malone at all, she used to be on Heather Tarr's staff at Washington.
I definitely know her. Yeah. We just, it started off with a 3-game series with Florida State. And then when COVID hit and we didn't quite know what our schedule was going to look like, we had a couple of tournaments canceled. We just started grabbing some games, and it just made sense when we went on that trip that we would go to Kenny's place and play them a couple times so they were available. And then being so close to Orlando, it was a given that we tried to get Central Florida, and that worked out well. And then Florida A&M is right down the street from Florida State, so that's kind of how the whole schedule happened. But I thought it was just a good opportunity for us to get away for 10 days as a group. You know, one of the elements of COVID that we haven't been able to do is a lot of team stuff and being together. And so I think this extended road trip will give this team a chance to kind of get to know each other a little more and gel even more so.
Do you have these memories or stories of Coach Ball Malone and facing her in the past? She used to be a player at Pacific, obviously was on the Washington staff. Did it turn around the Boise program? What's your thoughts on her and what she's doing now at UCF as they're in the top 25?
Yeah, she's done a great job, you know, and I think she's got a really good softball database, has good experiences and good programs, and has been around environments on how to develop a program. And I think all those things come into play when you pick up a program and have to change the culture and other things. And I think Cindy's done a good job with that. And I'm not surprised that they're doing as well as they are.
One of the times that you were in Central Florida, I remember it was 2008. You were the U.S. Olympic head coach. It was during the tour, and you played UCF in Altamont Springs. You had that long winning streak, and it was in danger that night. UCF, you beat them 1-0. Allison Kine pitched the gem. Do you remember that game at all? It was a few weeks before, obviously, Angela Tincher kind of ended the streak and knocked you all out. But that was a very intense game.
Yeah, I mean, that on tour, that can happen. You know, you run into a hot pitcher, and on any given night, you know, that's kind of the way the game is. So to tell you the truth, I don't remember it clearly. As I get older, I can't remember what I did yesterday. So going back that far is kind of tough on me sometimes.
Talk about Coach Lowe and Coach Moat, obviously how they've kind of gelled. I talked to both of them before the season, and they felt that it was a really smooth transition. What has it been like having them on your staff now a couple of seasons after obviously coaching them?
Well, it's outstanding. I mean, both of them are, you know, we're very good players, but are good coaches. And I think it was just obvious choices for me to keep it in a family and bring back people that really truly understand the culture of Arizona softball. And their biggest thing, though, is what they bring to the program. And both of them bring a tremendous amount. Count on them a lot to do their part and do their job, and they do an excellent job. And so I'm just tickled to death every day I come to work and be able to spend time with them.
Last question from me. What have you seen from Deja since she's been back that maybe is different than what she was prior, you know, when she was with the U.S. national team? Have you noticed any differences with her, or is she the same type of player, before the U.S.?
Well, she's the same type of person. I think the thing about Deja, and I think it happens with anyone that's involved with the USA national team, is you surround yourself with the very best. So you have to get something out of it. And I think the big part of it is just the mental approach to the game. I think she just plays the game much more maturely right now than she did when she was younger. And she's had that blessing to be around the best and be able to watch them perform, watch them prepare. And, you know, I think as a player, that's one of the greatest gifts you get playing on the national team, is learning from the, you know, people that all are very driven, very talented. But, you know, there's one thing that you'll find with the national team is every one of those kids have emotional stability. They don't get too high, don't get too low. And I think that's just a trait of the elite athlete. And so the more you're around those type of people, the more you grab from it. And it definitely has an effect on you.
Before we do the next one, Danny, you want to shift the camera a little left? Coach is off the camera a little bit. There we go. Troy Hutchison, go ahead.
So, Coach, I noticed that Devin was wearing a boot last weekend. Is that just precautionary?
Well, it was more fashion than anything. She found it at a store and liked it and decided to buy it. No, not really. It's a boot that we put kids in quite a bit when they have any kind of injury that we want them to stay active, but to protect it. And so it was a stressed area that she had in her shin, and the boot was the thing that she needed. I'm not in the medical staff, and I just do what they tell me to do. And if they walk in with a boot, then I know that they're probably not going to be doing much that day.
And we'll wrap it up with Ryan Kellip here.
Well, Devin pitches, and I was going to ask you, how interested are you to see how your pitching staff handles this upcoming week? Because not only are you playing a lot better teams, but you have so many games in so many days.
Well, I'm always excited to see how our pitchers handle each week. And I think from here on out, if you look at our schedule, there's not going to be any breaks. So the sooner that they can get in the fire and find out what they need to do to be able to prepare for that and be able to execute their game and keep their motor where it needs to be, then I think it's a blessing for us. So one of the things about this game is you learn from experience. That's why Major League Baseball plays so many games, why they have a spring training. It's different to practice than it is to play in the game. And so to me, this is a great opportunity for us to go out and challenge ourselves and play 7 games in 7 days, because it definitely takes some emotional stability, but it also takes kind of finds out where you are physically, what kind of shape are you in. And if we don't do well, then I come back and I blame the strength coach for not having them in good shape. Just kidding.
All right, that's all we got. Thanks, Coach.
You bet. Take care.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, we've got a couple hands raised. Troy Hutchison, we'll go ahead and start with you.
So Charlize, you've been crushing the ball early in the season so far. How does it feel to finally get things going offensively? Is it because you're finally healthy out there? I know you went through a lot of injury issues last season. Just go ahead and talk about your first couple games this year.
It feels nice to stay nice and healthy. That's one of the biggest goals, is staying out on the field and being able to, and just been working hard to get in that starting lineup, and just been working on my swing every single day with coach and all the girls.
And then what is it like to have Deja back and just learning from a U.S. Olympian out there behind the plate?
It's awesome. I mean, I'm like a sponge. I love learning new things, and I love being able to pick at her brain and just see the way she sees the sport. And I love being able to just catch a game right behind her and just share the plate with her, and just going into the dugout and getting some feedback from her every single inning.
And then Carly was named Pac-12 Freshman of the Week as a teammate of hers and a redshirt freshman, because you've been there as your freshman season. What's it like to watch her at the plate and see her crushing the opposite field home runs?
Oh my God, she's a beast. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows she's a great hitter. It's well-deserved. She needs to be Pac-12 Player of the Week. And I think even Freshman of the Year, I see it coming. But she's an awesome player, even more better of a teammate. And it's just great seeing her bat come alive and really spark the lineup going.
Sean Fagan, go ahead.
Thanks, Charlize, for being here. So this team is off to obviously a really incredible start, 10-0, now ranked number 2 in the nation. I was wondering, could you just give us a general summary of what it is that you feel is leading the team to such amazing success so early on in the season?
Yeah, well, obviously our seniors are amazing. I mean, they're the heart of this team, but they've also instilled a lot of culture into us, and we're trying our best to just follow behind them and follow suit. And yeah, it's just gonna be a crazy good season. We have a great pitching staff. Our lineup looks pretty deadly when you look at it on the card, so that's gonna be what's gonna ultimately help us get to where we want to be.
And then last question. So obviously, other than that Oregon State game, the first biggest test for you ladies as a team this season is this huge road trip coming up in Florida, where I think you're going to be playing around like 7 or 8 games like in 9 days. So what, as a team, what do you do mentally to prepare for going on a road trip this large, and then especially to a state such as Florida, where there's so many exogenous factors with the time difference and the weather and humidity could have an effect if there is humidity on the ball? What do you do to prepare as a team for such a long and extended trip?
I think it was nice having these past 2 weekends be at home, just to get our confidence up, see how the team plays at home, and just get that feel for it. But now going on the road, I think what we're going to mainly need to focus on is taking energy from each other. So just passing the bat around, being able to get some quality hits at good times, and just keeping focus on our goal. I mean, we're not going to be able to play the World Series here at home, so we have to learn how to be warriors on the road too.
Ryan Calapier, go ahead.
With Deja back, obviously you've played a lot of time at the designated player spot. As a catcher, what is it like going from, a lot of things, like going from being involved in every single pitch to when your team's in the field, you're in the dugout?
No, it's definitely a different spot, and it's a cool role to be in, especially since I'm so used to being behind the plate. But I get to really observe everyone's at bats, observe the defense, and try to be like the ninth man in the dugout, and just try to be the best teammate I can for them. And just it helps me focus a lot more on my offense. That's the only way it can help. So I really try to hone in on my at bats and make them quality at bats.
So when your team is in the field, though, or what are you, when you're in the dugout, like, are you looking at Deja and what she's doing, or what kind of things are you trying to do?
Yeah, just observing the whole field, trying to help out, trying to say if a runner's going, or just try to help Kate or anyone that I can help. And obviously just watching the game and trying to stay into it when I'm not on the field.
And has it been difficult? I mean, last year you were pretty much the starting catcher, and I'm pretty sure once you figured that Deja was coming back, that she was going to get a bulk of the time there. So, I mean, what was kind of your approach with that, and what did your coaches tell you about how you were going to be used this season?
Yeah, well, I knew Deja coming back, it was just a great opportunity for me to learn from her and to be able to absorb as much as I can. I only have 1 year with her, sadly, so I'm not going to be able to get as much as I would love, but I love being able to just pick her brain, and that's just the biggest thing. I wanted to be there for my team wherever I can, if it's in the DH spot or if it's catching a few games so that Deja can rest her legs. That's what I'll do.
And do you have an example of some of the things that you've learned from her?
Deja, obviously, you guys have seen her transfer is wicked fast. I mean, that's what I'm trying to learn from her. I'm more of a catcher that throws from my knees, but I'd love to just put that in my arsenal and know how to have a quick transfer like her and just receiving the ball the way she does too.
And I'm just curious, I know you've had some concussions, and last year you also broke your finger. I mean, what do you kind of think about the injuries that you've had and how you've been able to bounce back from them?
Yeah, I just think they were a little unfortunate. The timing was kind of unfortunate, but I like to remain positive as much as I can and stay optimistic. And I knew it was all in the plan, and now I'm just taking advantage that I'm healthy. And
was it? I mean, I think the last you didn't play after you were in that collision again. I forgot UT Arlington, I think it was.
Yeah.
You didn't. Your first game back from that was actually this season. So what was it like just getting behind the plate again?
It was so awesome. I just loved being back. I mean, this whole team was waiting such a long time to get back on the field, and it was an awesome feeling. I got butterflies again, and it was like I had just played my first collegiate game again. So it was really cool to restart and be able to start with this specific team. And I was just happy to be healthy and back on the field.
And have you made any big adjustments at the plate as far as your maybe approach or your swing or anything like that?
Yeah, since my freshman year, I think I've matured a little bit more as a batter, but I think I've been taking a lot more of my at-bats more seriously and just looking for the right pitch to hit at the right time and trying to be unselfish with my at-bats and trying to get some runs across.
And I mean, what do you like about playing catcher? I know you play there. Your sister plays catcher. I don't know if you have any other family members that were catchers, but
yeah, my dad was a catcher too. I love being involved in every single play. I love having a relationship with our pitchers. Our pitchers are amazing, so it makes it easy for me to have a good source of communication with them and just trying to help the team and try to be a leader back there as much as I can be.
And what do you like about what you've seen from the pitching staff so far?
The pitching staff, they're just gritty. When they get on the mound, they mean business, and they want us to win just as much as the offense wants to win. And what I find really interesting is how we're going to be able to complement each other, the offense with the pitching staff. I'm really excited to see how that's going to work this season.
Any more questions for Charlize?
I guess I'll just ask you, what do you remember from when that play at the plate last season?
Not much, but I do remember the ball coming in from the outfield, and I do remember that there was a runner at second base. And after that, it was pretty lights out. But then I woke up in an ambulance and it was different.
And what was it like? I mean, coming back from that, I mean, I know you had an extended off season. I mean, did that help you a lot? Just kind of, you didn't have to rush back.
Yeah, definitely. That helped a lot. Just that I could give my mind and my brain a break and be able to recover it. The brain is something so sensitive, and can't put a timeline on the recovery like a broken bone or something like that. It's all on you. And I'm glad that I was able to recover fully, and I feel 110% better.
During that whole process, I mean, did you ever have any thoughts about like, oh, why do I do this? Like, why am I playing catcher? And I mean, to wake up in an ambulance, I imagine you kind of think about what you're doing with your life.
Yeah, I mean, my mom always kind of tells me, why'd you choose this? And oh my gosh, you always get beat up. But I mean, we're the crazy ones, but we love it. I mean, you can ask all Izzy, Deja, and me. We love it, and we love the torture.
Eric Lopez, go ahead.
I was just curious, what's it been like working with Coach Lowe and even Coach Moat, who handles the pitchers? What's it like to be coached by them, who are two of the greats in the history of the program?
Just like you said, they're two of the greatest, and they live up to that. They're masters at what they do, and they're just the best. You can go with them with any type of question, and they'll try to answer it with the best of their ability, and they're the best to ever do it. So.
Did you watch them play growing up? I mean, did you watch Arizona even growing up? Give me some stories of growing up watching them.
Yeah. So, are you there?
Oh, yeah.
So growing up, I would just watch Kate, and I was never fast, but I wished I was as fast as her. So I would always just watch her, and Lovey Jung and just Taryn Moa. I remember watching the World Series and looking back at those clips, and that's when I knew, just getting goosebumps when they played, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And luckily I was able to find this place as my home. But yeah, it's always just watching them play and trying to mimic them, no matter if that was my style of playing or not.
What was it like when you met Coach Candrea now playing for him?
Well, when I met Coach Candrea, I was pretty young. I was a little brat, I guess you could say. And it was just a different type of look. I would kind of see him and be scared of him before, just because he had such great accolades. And now that I know him, he's an amazing man that cares for us more than just the sport. He cares for each individual and our person and our being, and he wishes the best for us on and off the field. And that's what makes you respect him more as a coach, rather than just seeing his win scores and his records and all the accolades he's got. It's the type of person that he is, and just the amazing person that he is to me.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's it. Thank you, Charlize.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Danny, for holding it.
All right. Carly Scoopin up next. Sean Fagan, go ahead.
Thanks, Carly, for being here. So obviously, we have to talk about the monster week you had with the, with the accolades that you were awarded with Pac-12 Freshman of the Week and then D1 of the week as well. So the 4 home runs, 15 RBIs now brings you up to leading the team in home runs, and then just 1 RBI behind Deja for a team lead. Could you talk about maybe what it is that was leading to the success? Is it watching film maybe on other pitchers? Is it just natural talent that you have to see where the ball's coming in with the plate? Like, what would you say are the factors that have led to having such a monster week as being just a freshman as well?
I would say just adjusting to this new atmosphere. I mean, my first weekend, I think I was just kind of nervous and thinking way too much. But last weekend, I was able to just relax a little bit more and just play my game and not try to do too much. And also being like further down in the lineup gives me an opportunity to see the pitcher facing someone like Alyssa Palomino, kind of a similar hitter to me, a lefty. So I can really see what the pitcher's trying to do to the batters before me and come up with a plan before I go up there.
And then last question. You probably have not only like one of the coolest last names ever, but one last name that like totally fits with the sport of softball, and especially when it would come to fielding. Is there any maybe particular nicknames that the team has for you yet, or do you see that kind of developing? Because I mean, it's like it was almost like destiny that you would have to become a softball player with a last name like Scoopin.
Yeah, I mean, I've always like gone by my first name, Carly. Like I've never asked anyone to call me a nickname or anything, but Scoop is just like, people just say Scoop, and they kind of just come up with all different versions of Scoop and whatever. But it's kind of fun, and I'll let them call me whatever they want.
Troy Hutchison, go ahead.
Like you said before, that first weekend, it seemed like you were a little nervous up there, and then I think you had a home run to close out that weekend. Was that kind of the moment where you were like, wow, I really belong?
Yeah, I mean, leading up to that at bat, I had a couple walks, which I thought were better at bats, and I was able to see the ball and get my timing down and adjust to the pitching. And then obviously I hit that home run, which I think maybe gave me a little bit more confidence up there, and it just kind of led me into the next weekend. So.
Ryan Kelpier, go ahead.
What's impressed you about the way Charlize has played this season?
Oh, Char's awesome. And she's definitely in that DP spot. She's killing it in that DP spot. And it's just more power further down in the lineup. She's hitting in the 6th hole right before me. So when there's runners on, she comes up big with the power. And not only the power, but she gets on base a lot too. So she's definitely stepped up. And then obviously Deja needs help behind the plate to save her legs and things like that. So Char is always there to come in for Deja whenever we need help.
What have you noticed about, you mentioned Deja and Char, I mean, what do you mention about, or what have you seen from their relationship and how they kind of work together, and how you think maybe Char is benefiting from that?
Oh yeah, I mean, they're working at practice every day. Deja's definitely like a mentor to Char, and being an older player, more experienced, she's definitely taking those steps to get Char ready to be our catcher next year. And yeah, they have a great dynamic at practice, and obviously Char helps Deja out. Deja helps Char out in every way. So.
Tara Henry, go ahead.
Hi, Carly. Tara Henry, D1 softball. Congratulations on your week. Quick question for you. You said that your swing is very similar in the way your style is like Alyssa Palomino Cardoza. Talk to me a little bit about what it's like to be in the cage with Alyssa, and how has she been a mentor towards you, and what it's like to hit with her?
Yeah, I mean, I just mentioned Alyssa just because she's power hitter. She's a lefty. I would see myself getting thrown similar to the way that she gets thrown, which is why I usually, pay extra attention to her at bats, because I can see what I'm going to be expecting. But it's not just Alyssa. I mean, it's all of the seniors, all of the older hitters on the team, working in the cage with them every day. Jessie is always helping me in the cage. We're working together off the tee, all of them, Malia, everyone. So definitely working with them and talking, hitting with them even is very helpful. They're so knowledgeable and helpful, and they help all of us freshmen, not just me. So it's definitely great to have them to learn from.
And what would you say is your biggest takeaway in having those super seniors there as mentors? What would you say kind of the best advice, whether it be Harper or Palomino, or what would you say the best advice has been for you in being around those veterans on the squad?
I feel like what I've learned from them the most is just by like watching them, the way that they show up every single day for practice. They never take a day off. They're never, slacking off because they're not having a good day. They come to practice every day with the same mindset, and there's never an off day. So learning that from them, that, we come here every day to work, is definitely like the biggest takeaway. And I think that they're doing everything to prepare our team next year without them, because there's a lot of them, and we're going to have to make adjustments next year when we don't have them. So they're just trying to teach us everything, so that, next year we'll be strong without them.
Great. Thank you, Carly.
Thank you.
Ryan Calapier?
So a lot of your homers have been opposite field. You've hit some to center too. You haven't pulled one yet. Coach Candrea was kind of thinking that, maybe when you were growing up, teams were afraid to pitch you inside. So you got really good at hitting the outside pitch. So is your power have you always been a good opposite field hitter? And would you say his assessment's pretty fair?
Yeah, I mean, growing up through travel ball and high school ball, I definitely got thrown outside way more than I did inside. I'm getting challenged on, all sides of the plate. So I'll just have to make those adjustments. But yeah, I would agree with Coach for sure. I've definitely been pitched outside most of my softball life. So.
And Deja was saying that you regularly hit balls off the Giddings building out there in right field. Have you been able to hit one over?
Yeah, I mean, at BP or whatever, I mean, they're always talking about it and joking about it. I always tell them, well, maybe to hit one over the bleachers over here, just because they're obviously right-handed, but it's kind of just like a joke, and we're always talking about it during BP, but yeah.
All right. Anything else for Carly? Eric Lopez, go ahead.
Talk about what you've learned from Coach Lowe and working with her with the offense.
Coach Lowe, Kate, she's great. She's always working with us in the cage, and obviously, like me and her, she was a very different hitter than I am, but she knows everything about hitting, and she's constantly working with us hitters, working on plans, our swing, whatever. We can come to Kate with anything, offense, defense, whatever position, and she's so knowledgeable and she can help all of us. And same with Coach T. Coach T is the pitching coach, but I ask her stuff about first base all the time, and she's always there to help all of us, no matter what position we play. So they're both very knowledgeable coaches that are always trying to help us and get us better.
You know their background, the great history they've made in Arizona, two of the greatest of all time. What is that like to play for them and learning from them that they've been in your shoes before?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely great to come to them because we know that they've been in the same position as us, and same with our grad assistant, Taylor McQuillan. She was, she's fresh out of the game, so it's always great to come to them with questions and advice because they've obviously, played the game. And same with Coach. I mean, Coach is as knowledgeable as anybody. So, I mean, it's great to ask him questions and get advice from him just as much as that. So,
thank you.
All right. Thank you, Carly.
Thank you.